Hi again, guys. Another video coming to you from Trinidad. Today I want to just give you all a little more information about my final published project so far, Sankofo. I want to give you all a little background about the book and why this book is so special to me. I think we should start at the beginning. The name Sankofo has an interesting meaning. There's a symbol of a dove or a swan looking back with an oval object in the mouth. And the meaning of the symbol is that we oftentimes progress in life and forget certain gems behind, and then we have to go back to get those gems. And it was in that vein that I wrote this book, and I prepped the story for this book. I've noticed when they talk about fiction in Trinidad, the projects are very limited. Well, at least, I may be corrected, but in my view, they are kind of limited, and a lot of the stories focused on the north of the island and all the activity that happens to the north, because the capital is around the north and the business hub is around the north. But I took the opportunity with this book to bring you a kind of southern view, so this was an attempt to tell a story that was based in South Trinidad and to bring some of the essence of a retro type story, so much so that I used a lot of old pictures that we had in some albums there, and I tried to make sure that we get that whole historic view, even though the book is not a historic book, but it gives that long view, and it starts off basically with a character in the 1950s. The main character is introduced to us at the beginning of the book, and we more or less grow with him and we see his experiences throughout his life and some of the decisions that were made, and we get to kind of weigh up these decisions, and though I know in this modern time no one really likes to judge, as the author I don't mind if we somehow weigh the decisions and make certain judgments, because it was written in that kind of way, to affect you so that you would be invested, right? But when looking at this book, there was another book on my bookshelf, strangely enough, a book I came about some years ago called The Underclass by Michael Alls. And this is an interesting local book because it too tried to immerse you into what was happening in the community in Central before the story went north, and in my observation, the story kind of always goes north, but I wanted to make sure I kept the story south based. Other books that local stories would have been told, A House for Mr. Biswas, and we also had, well, this one wasn't necessarily local, but I remember doing Becca Lamb, which was based in Belize, and that one was a nice type of book within the same kind of genre. So from that background, I wanted to write something that would be, personal, community-based, and give you all those different types of appreciations of well, what we used to be, and we could compare it with what we became, right? I had a mentor who always used to talk about the 1960s in Trinidad and how it was such a magical time, and you know how life was different and people were different, and when they got up in the morning how the place used to feel. And I always liked the way he was passionate about telling those stories, right? And I think I really made an effort in this book to try to see if I could capture that nostalgia about yesteryear, right? But also keeping in mind that the story was progressing to closer towards a modern time, right? So my baby again, Sankofo, A Southern Tale, right? It's available on Amazon, right? So don't be afraid, guys. When you see this video, if you have any specific questions or comments, post your comments. I'll be sure to answer and try to shed any light on whatever we might want to clear up. But for now, I just wanted to go into a little background into, well, why I wanted to write this type of book and why I am so happy about the final product that came out. As a Trinidad author, as somebody who wanted to bring our story out into the public again, right? And you tell me, you'll be the final judge if I was successful or not. Thanks, guys.